Hello again, Steve here with a few comments about the fallout of central control and attempts to centrally control things. And this is along the lines and carrying on from my few videos I had on the diversity being our strength. Now, the impetus for this particular video is the recent Facebook banning of, I believe it was Paul Joseph Watson, Laura Loomer, Milo Yiannopoulos, and Louis Farrakhan. And this whole thing makes me feel a little bit closer to that circle in a way, because I actually interviewed Milo on one of his first, it might have been his first or second interview on his Dangerous Faggot tour that took place back in 2016 when he really entered the limelight, at least in the modern era here. And I actually should post a link to that video, that interview that I did of him. But uh, you know, it's, I would say this is kind of like the outsourcing of central control. I mean, Facebook, yeah, they make the case that they're a private entity, but they're not really, because they're so entrenched and there's no competitor to that kind of a market, right? To that kind of a business. Yeah, there's alt tech sites, but they're so much smaller. So the fact that, an organization that says it's basically just a platform, and which is, of course, a corporation, is an offshoot of government. It's an arm of government, basically. It's a government entity, which is then going to turn around and say that it's completely private, yet who knows? It might be in cahoots with the government in some cases. That it should be able to outsource what is right think and what is wrong think. And the reason this is so tricky, I think, is because what they're trying to do by the look of things now, and you think about Facebook, it's, the decision to do something like this has to be coordinated to get rid of 4 people on basically one day, and for the media to know about it essentially at the same time. There had to be a tip-off, or they're in cahoots with what was going on, like the mainstream media, other sources knew about this. It was announced apparently while their sites were still up and active, so this was something a little bit odd about that, right, to say the least. But if you think about it, there's probably maybe a half a dozen people at the top of Facebook who are going to be in an office meeting to do this. This isn't just some random employee who says, "Oh, we don't like this person today." Guys like Zuckerberg had to be involved in this somehow directly. So think about the nihilism of something, or the sort of the self-importance, self-aggrandizing, this narcissism, this belief that somehow I know what's best for the world because my profits are important, or whatever, just insert X or whatever in there. How crazy this is, and how unreality this is, that somehow a few people can decide what it is that's acceptable. And because I think my guess is the reason why they've mostly been just purging what they consider to be right of center people, but they included this wild card guy, this Louis Farrakhan, who is the known anti-Semite, extreme racist, friend of a Barack Obama, and so on, black guy, who for the longest time could basically walk around and say pretty much whatever he wanted, and maybe get the odd thing banned if it was extremely racist and pro-Nazi or whatever. He might get a video taken down here and there and stuff, but nothing really banned. So why would they include him in here? I don't know. My guess is that they want to appear to be neutral. They want to appear to be, when they're taking down 3 people who are similar, to take down another guy who's kind of their nemesis. It's kind of like when Jesus was being crucified, right? There's these 2 criminals. One guy seems like a good criminal who, repents and so on. The other guy is truly evil. But to balance things out, they got it sort of like a plausible deniability. We're going to put two bad guys up there, just so that people don't notice there's actually a good guy up there. We're going to throw some bad guys up there too at the same time. It's kind of like that, maybe. But the reason this can backfire on them is because there are people who do support a guy like Farrakhan. Like, my understanding is he's fairly good friends with Barack Obama. So, you ban Farrakhan off there, Maybe did somebody not think? No, they didn't realize that he's a friend of Obama. Did did somebody not realize that Snoop Dogg likes him? You know, and Snoop Dogg, I mean, he's got like millions and millions of fans, and many of them basically rapping leftists. I would guess. I don't know. And certainly Obama was the adored savior of the world, wasn't he, a few years ago? And now his buddy is banned off of Facebook. Well, see, it becomes a problem for them then, because if that's the problem with micromanaging is you have these backfires, which you're always going to have anyways, no matter what control system. But because you in central control, you do such sweeping changes all at once. You see, because in real diversity, where a bunch of people are making decisions, um, if somebody's really not liked, if somebody pulls off a real gaffe or whatever, people just don't bother watching them, and they just kind of disappear. You don't have to ban them because their own actions ban them, get themselves banned. You know, so that's the first thing, is that the backfire of this can take place upon people who the Silicon Valley giants are hoping are going to support them. Now, is Barack Obama going to be as supportive of tech censorship now? Now, he won't mind that, you know, Paul Joseph Watson, Loomer, and Milo were banned, but it might really bother him that Farrakhan was banned. And if he's going to bring up in some way with a phone call to these Silicon Valley schmucks that, oh, you banned my buddy off of Facebook. Well, if he gets back on somehow, people are going to wonder, okay, hang on a second here. You banned four of them and one is back on, and we see the difference between them. That doesn't make any sense. It becomes more and more obvious. Like the mask is being more and more exposed, is what I'm saying, I guess. The second thing that happens with this is that Trump, of course, he's the consummate opportunist, and who's a guy who's got his ear to the ground sometimes. At least that appears to be how one of the reasons why he got elected. If you remember, before a year or so before he ran for the last election, he started attending the freedom conferences and so on, and liberty conferences and whatnot around the U.S., trying to get a sense for what it was that the grassroots was looking for, right? And now, you know, well, Don Jr. for over a year has been going on about tech censorship, and, you know, I'm sure that he's got Trump's ear. And, you know, Trump not being tech savvy, he is savvy in terms of you know, he seems to be populist savvy. So, you know, Don Jr. is probably tech savvy, and he's got that sense. And now Trump maybe is getting this sense of this. When this last thing happened shortly thereafter, Trump comes out with his Twitter storm, and he reposts something of Paul Joseph Watson, you know. And this might fly directly in the face of Facebook's recent, apparently, I think it was Facebook, I could be wrong on this, recent claim that if anybody posts anything to do with InfoWars, as an example, anything to do with InfoWars, unless it's a complete condemnation of what InfoWars is doing, you can be banned. I mean, it's hard to explain how crazy this nonsense is. How crazy it is. Well, it's not nonsense. I mean, this is planned stuff. This is clown world. It looks crazy, but it's probably deliberate, right? And so maybe Trump is jumping ahead of things here, maybe, and posting something of a very, very naughty boy, right? And of course, Trump cannot be banned. And this is was it SCOTUS that weighed in that says whatever Trump tweets, it can't be taken off the internet, because of course it was taken down off the internet once. They tried to take his Twitter feed off the internet. They said it was just a rogue employee, but bullshit. It was a test, and then, you know, it was found out that the Supreme Court says whatever the president says cannot be removed from the public space, so they can't take it down. So I think, you know, you might see more of this, and Trump might be just putting in some tests. So he posts something of Paul Joseph Watson, he posts something of, I believe, Lauren Southern or whatever, and of course the mainstream, you know, that's its business. It goes berserk on that, right? But he should test this, I think, more and more. He should post something of InfoWars, of course, and he should open up a Facebook account and start posting InfoWars stuff, is what he should do, because they won't be able to remove that, and it'll embolden people to start doing that. If he really wants to win in the next one, he's got to jump in where the trouble is, and there's millions of people who will support him on that. So I think I could just be speculating here. I am speculating, of course, I am speculating, but I could just be pulling stuff out of my you know what. But maybe, because I mean the guy is a pretty amazing strategist, and he got elected, against all odds, by testing the waters of where the populist snout is, right? And and he knows, I think, that that's where the true diversity lies, is in the populist movements. But it's hard to sense that, because you won't get a sense out of that of the common polls put out by the mainstream media and stuff, because they're always falsifying stuff. So he might be testing things here, and he knows that his comments can't be removed. So that means that he can repost stuff that's banned. So now if he finds out that somebody was recently banned off of a platform, and he reposts something and that's popular, then he might get a whiff of that's where to go. That's part of his new platform, of his new campaign and so on, is to go into this tech censorship and find a way that the tech people, the tech companies shouldn't be banning these people. Because after all, that's why he got elected, was because a lot of these people who are being banned. I think of Milo for sure. I mean, Milo, when I met him, he was basically in an early campaign mode for Trump, right? And now he's being banned. He has been being banned off of different platforms for a while. So for Trump to ignore that is rather crazy, I think. And I've said it before. He shouldn't just be relying on Twitter. He should have a YouTube channel where he does, every few days he should post something. His comment section should be open. Nobody can ban that. He should have an active Facebook page, and he should be reposting InfoWars stuff constantly, because InfoWars has said that that's not allowed on their platform, but he could just throw that right in their face. They wouldn't be able to ban it, and he'd be able to expose this very, very easily. And he would be extremely, extremely popular for that. And he can make the case that, hey, you know what? If you don't like InfoWars, I'm not necessarily posting everything of InfoWars, but this is important. We shouldn't have Alex Jones off the internet, and I'm going to repost some of his stuff here. I'll just just share a BitChute video of his that I like, and I'll dare Facebook to take it down. And if Facebook takes it down, we'll have the Supreme Court weigh in. There's ways in around this. I mean, nobody likes to use the government. Nobody of any sanity wants to use the government. But hey, they're using whatever they're using to take people down, and this is extremely dangerous. So if Trump wants to use every card he can, that would be a good recommendation. Get on all these sites and start posting the people that are getting taken down. So now there's support for freedom of speech coming from both sides of that political spectrum. Then there's the Trump side, who would be putting stuff up there that they can't take down, and then these outfits are trying to look as fair. They're taking down guys like racists like Farrakhan, who are black and stuff like that, as who are friends of Barack Obama, and they're also taking down the people they hate, like Loomer and stuff like that. So you get they're going to get scorn from Barack Obama and the likes of Snoop Dogg and so on, and they're also going to get just a lot of hassle from Trump, because he can post a shit ton of the stuff that's banned on his channels, and they can't take him down. So I've talked about this before, and maybe what I was saying is coming true. But anyways, the comment, the learning experience, and here again is just diversity is our strength. Let's not have any conceived notions that we can figure things out, like Zuckerberg and these guys who they're just going to control things by taking people off the internet. I mean, you know what? True diversity would say, you know what? Let people decide. If people don't like what Laura Loomer is saying, or Paul Joseph Watson, or Milo, or Farrakhan, or whatever, they don't have to watch it, But to just take them off is just to show your card as a complete tyrant, and any kind of a tyrant who wants to sit on top of his Yertle Turtle Tower and say that he cares. Well, we know that that's not diversity. And claim diversity all you want, guys like Zuckerberg, but you ain't, because you're not letting people make their own decisions. And, of course, your companies are not really private. They're corporations, and corporations are arm of the government. So you're just outsourcing government tyranny. That's all you're doing. Steve here, again, great chatting. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share, and click on the bell if you want notifications, and we'll talk again soon. Bye for now.